Good morning, students. So today we are going to study the electronic devices and circuits, the first module. The first module we need to study about the introduction to transistor biasing, then fixed bias, self bias and voltage divider bias, and the effect of temperature on Q point, the effect of bypass capacitor on biasing. Like that, a lot of topics are there in the first module. So let us start with what a transistor is. So here, what a transistor is. So if a p-type material or an n-type material is added to a single p-n junction, we'll be getting another junction, okay, and that formation is simply called as a transistor. It is a three-terminal semiconductor device that regulates the current or the voltage flow, and it will be acting as a switch as well as a gate for the signals. So we know that there are various transistors that we'll be using in our lab. So see the pictures I have given over this slide, and here I shown the picture of a NPN transistor. Why this transistor is called NPN? Because the arrow mark which is shown over here is from the base to emitter. Is it? Why it is like that? Because the electrons will be flowing from negative to positive, okay, and the current will be flowing from positive to negative. So from the base or from that junction, base emitter junction, that is the positive side, and the arrow mark is towards the negative side, okay. So the arrow mark is towards the negative. So P to N, the flow of current is shown from P to N. That is why the arrow mark is shown to the negative side. So we can call it as a NPN. The collector side will be N. So NPN transistor. Okay. So it has three terminals named as collector, base and emitter. So there are many uses for a particular transistor. It can be act as an amplifier, it can be act as a switch, and also it can regulate the incoming current and voltage of the signal. So whenever it acts as an amplifier, the signal strength has to be increased. Likewise, we need it also act as a switch to choose between the available options and all. Okay, this is all a transistor is. In this slide, I have just shown the constructional details of a transistor. See, NPN and PNP transistor. So I already told in the first slide what a transistor is. If either P or N type material is added to a single PN junction, we'll be forming a transistor. Okay, that is shown over here. The three-terminal solid-state device which is formed by connecting two diodes back to back. Hence, it has got two PN junctions. Okay, we can call it as PNP and NPN. That means N-type material between two P-types and the other is a P-type material between two N-types. The three terminals are the emitter, base and the collector. So when we talk about the emitter, it is always the left hand side of the figure, and it is the moderate size and it is of heavily doped. The main function is to supply a large number of majority carriers. The majority carriers can either be electrons or holes. Okay, so in a p-type semiconductor, the majority carriers will be holes, and in n-type semiconductors, the majority carriers will be electrons. So as this emit electrons, it is called as an emitter, and it can be indicated by the symbol E. When we talk about the base, it is the middle material. It is actually the middle material in the figure. And this base is thin and lightly doped one. Okay, what about the emitter? The emitter is heavily doped, but the base is lightly doped. What is the main function of the base? The main function is to pass the majority carriers from emitter to collector. That is the main function of the base terminal. Okay, the main function of the base terminal is to pass the majority carriers, that will be either electrons or holes, from the emitter to the collector, and that will be indicated by the symbol B, capital B. The last one is the collector. The collector is a right side material, and its function is to collect the carriers from the emitter through the base. And this is a bit larger in size than emitter and base. And what about the doping condition? It is moderately doped and is indicated by the notation C. I have shown here NPN transistor and PNP transistor. As I said earlier, why the arrow mark is shown outside? Why? Because the current is flowing from P to N. And what about the electron flow over there? It will be from N to P. Okay. So in a practical transistor, there is a notch present near the emitter LET for identification. So you can see that in your lab sections. Okay. So next we need to study about transistor biasing. So what is actually biasing? Biasing is controlling the operation of the circuit by providing the power supply. So as we know that this transistor is a combination of two diodes. So if we have two diodes, then we'll be having two junctions. As one junction is between the emitter and the base, and the other junction is between the collector and the base. So the first junction is called emitter base junction, and the other one is called the collector base junction. Okay, so in a transistor we have two junctions. The first one is the emitter base junction, and the second one is the collector base junction. So we'll be providing the DC supply for the functioning of the transistor, and that DC supply is actually the biasing. Okay. So what is the need for biasing? So I told that the biasing will be just providing the DC supply. So that biasing ensures the device operates in the required region of operation. So what will be the required region of operation? So we can see what are the regions of operation. Okay. Then the other point is it will stabilize the circuit against any external variations. So the need for biasing. What is the need for biasing? So need for biasing, the first point is it ensures the device operates in the required region of operation, and the second point is that it will stabilize the circuit against any external variations. In this figure, the N-type material is provided negative supply and the P-type material is given positive supply to make the circuit forward biased. And to make it as reverse bias, the N-type material is provided positive supply and the P-type material is given negative supply. So, by applying the power, the emitter base junction is always forward biased as the emitter resistance is very small. The collector base junction is reverse biased and the resistance is a bit higher. Okay. So a small forward bias is sufficient at the emitter junction, whereas a high reverse bias has to be applied at the collector junction. And when we talk about the direction of current, uh, and here it is indicated, here the direction of current is indicated, and that is also called as the conventional current, and the movement of the whole current is always opposite to the electron current. So when we talk about the biasing and Q point stabilization, a transistor should be biased according to the region of operations. Okay, we have four regions of operation: active region, cutoff region, saturation region, and inverse mode. So in the active region, the emitter base junction is forward biased and the collector base junction is reverse biased. In the cutoff region, both the emitter base junction and the collector base junction is reverse biased. And in saturation region, both the emitter base and the collector base are in forward biased. And the inverse mode, it is just an opposite to the active region. That is, the emitter base junction is reverse biased and the collector base junction is forward biased. So, a transistor should be operated in a linear region. So, when it is used as an amplifier. The figure which is shown here is a simple transistor circuit and the output characteristics of a transistor. Okay. So, we have an equation. Here we can see a VCC power supply over here, then collector, the transistor, emitter, base, and collector, three terminals over here. The collector terminal is connected to the resistance RC. The base terminal is connected to the resistance RB. Okay. So what will be the current passing through the resistance RC? That will be IC. Okay, then what about the junction between the emitter and the collector? What will be the voltage between the junction, emitter and the collector? That is VCE. Okay, so what will be the output current flowing over here? Is VCC is equal to IC into RC plus VCE. That is the current flowing over there. So for to determine the operating point, this equation is not sufficient. So we need to convert this equation, that is VCC is equal to IC plus VC. We need to convert this equation into a corresponding output graph. For that, we need to superimpose it on the output characteristics. Okay, so we need to consider some conditions. So when IC is equal to 0, and I have shown this equation in the next slide. So whenever this IC is equal to 0, what happens? This VCE is equal to VCC, and whenever the VCE is equal to 0, IC is equal to VCC bar IC. So see in this output figure or output cara, we have x-axis and a y-axis. So in the x-axis it is VCE and in the y-axis it is IC. So the graph is IC for above VCE. We have the output cara. So here it is written as whenever the VCE is 0. Whenever the VCE is 0, what will be the IC? IC will be VCC bar RC. So whenever the IC is 0, what will it be? VC becomes VCC. So we will be getting 2 points. One point is VCC and other point is VCC bar RC, and we can join that points and we will be getting the DC load line. Okay, so these 2 points can be joined together to form a straight line, which is known as the DC load line. So here we can fix the quiescent operating point on the DC load line. And one condition is if the load resistance is infinity, what happens? We must keep the operating point. We must keep the operating point at the center of the DC load line. For what? To get the maximum output swing. Otherwise, what happens? The Q point may be fixed depending on output swing requirement or load requirement or gain requirement or any other conditions. Okay, noise and all. So if a load resistance RL is connected from the collector to ground, what happens? Then there will be some dynamic or there will be uh, some conditions or some problems in the stability. Okay, so once a Q point is designed and fixed, it should remain constant irrespective of the internal or external variation. So if there is any variation in the Q point, what happens? That will cause a transistor to deviate from the design region of operation, and there will be some distortions in the output waveform. So what will be the main parameter responsible for such a variation? It may be the main parameter may be temperature or fluctuations in power supply or aging of the components and also the main thing is the temperature variation. Okay, so the temperature variations will affect the stabilization or stability. Okay. So in order to evaluate the performance of different biasing circuits, the stabilization factors are very much defined. Okay, so various parameters responsible for the variations in Q point are mainly the temperature variation. So the temperature variation is very important. So because the temperature variation is the most important thing which will affect the stability. Okay, so the change in temperature causes what all things? The change in temperature causes there is a change in the transistor parameters. Which all are the parameters will be changing? The reverse saturation current IC0 will be changing. The amplification factor or the current gain beta will be changing. Then the voltage between the base emitter junction will be changing. So due to the change in temperature, there will be some parameters will be changed in the transistor. So which all are the parameters? IC0, beta and VBE. IC0 is the reverse saturation current, beta is the current gain, and the VBE is the voltage between the base and the emitter. Okay, so what factor it will change? IC0 doubles approximately for every 10-degree rise in temperature, and this is very important. This IC0 means what? The reverse saturation current IC0 will be doubles approximately for every 10-degree rise in temperature. And what about the VBE? VBE reduces at 2.5 millivolt per degree rise in temperature. And this point is very important. So similarly, this beta value also varies with temperature. Hence, the stabilization of the operating point means the stabilization of the collector current against the temperature variation. So here the stabilization of the collector current is very important. So in order to get the stabilization of the operating point, the main thing is we need the stabilization of the collector current. So whenever there is a variation in the collector current with the variation in these transistor parameters, we can express by using various stabilization factors. The stability factor S, then stability factor S dash, stability factor S double dash and all, and we can study all these in the next slide. I mean on the next day we can study all other stability factors. So I can say that the main thing which is connected or which is connected with the stability factor is that the variation of the or the stabilization of the collector current. Okay, this is very important.